Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah everyone. Inshallah, I'll be introducing you to a new book by ICAN Sama-O-Basr, and the book is called The Reading Revolution. Read, Retain, Transform. First thing I want to discuss with you is the objective, why we have written this book. We have written this book with two objectives in mind. One of them being that our relationship with the books have been severed. Muslims used to be the biggest collectors of the books. We have written some of the most life-changing, some of the most transformative books in the history. Muslims used to build some of the biggest libraries in the world. But unfortunately, this is not the case anymore. So we want to restore that relationship and restore that love for books and love for reading. That's one of the key objectives of writing this book. The second objective has been that many a time it happens that when we read a book, then a few months after that, or one can say a few weeks after that, or if you allow me, I can say even a few days after reading that book, we forget what we read in it. So we want to change that situation. We want to be able to harness the power of the books and be able to remember what we read and be able to apply. So that is our second objective for which we have written this book. Inshallah, in this book you would find the techniques that would help you reverse the current situation and would help you retain what you read, inshallah, and be able to apply them. So these are our objectives for writing these books. Let us now see how we have organized this book. We have organized this book in three sections. Section number 1 is about inculcating the love of the books, and we have done that in different ways. One of the ways in which we have tried to cover this aspect is through intellectual dimension, to explain that the books contain the wisdom that their authors acquire over a period of many years. Through their research, through their toil, through their effort, what they acquire, they summarize in that book. And by you reading those books, you would be attaining the wisdom that they acquired over a very long period of time. And imagine if you read books from many authors on many different topics, written in many different eras, how much wisdom you can acquire. And through this you can achieve what we have been taught to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for. The ability to see the reality of the things as they are. Through this wisdom that you can acquire from the books, you can see the reality of the things as they are. So this is what is explained in chapter number 1. And then chapter number 2 explains the transformative power of the books throughout the history. In that we have explained how different books, starting from the biggest book of revolution, the Quran, changed the history. How they have been transforming humanity, how they have been transforming the history. The story of history is actually the story of the books. This is what we have summarized in chapter number 2. Chapter number 3 is my favorite chapter. It is about the love our Aslaf used to have for the books. And I wouldn't present any examples for you in this short video, but I can tell you one thing. When I was writing that chapter, I was having goosebumps, and just by imagining how much love our Aslaf used to have for the books. So I highly encourage you to read that chapter, which concludes our section number 1. In section number 2, we have explained the importance of the books in terms of your mission. You are not here without any mission. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent you here with a very defined purpose. What that purpose is for you. What is the direction and command from our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in that direction, and how can books help you achieve that? So when you read books from that perspective, you would read them from a very different angle. When you would read the Quran from that perspective, your recitation of the Quran would be very different. You would then read it from the perspective of implementing it in your life, transforming yourself, and then transforming the humanity. What exactly is the way to read the Quran to achieve that? So this is what we have tried to explain in section number 2. In addition, section number 2 also explains the way you would implement the Quran, and that is by benefiting from the example, from the life of the biggest of the teachers, our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So how you should study Seerah. So when you have to enable that transformative power within you and work on the mission that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you, then you have to read the books in a different way. You have to read the Quran in a different way. You have to read Seerah in a different way. Seerah then would not just be a list of chronological events for you. It would be a lived experience, how the Prophet ﷺ executed that struggle. So this is what we try to learn when we read Seerah from that angle. So these are some of the things that we have explained in chapter number or section number 2. We now move on to section number 3, which is the last section of this book. And in this section, we have got a few chapters that explain the effective methodologies of reading the books. Starting from book selection, what should be included in your reading list? One of the things being the understanding of the Jahiliyyah of the past, the present and the future. Why have we included that? It is because when you are trying to perform the mission, you are trying to execute the mission that has been given to you, you would inevitably come across certain hurdles, some certain attacks from the Satan, about which Satan promised that it would attack you from your front, from your back, from your right and from your left. So it would attack you from every angle. So you have to understand what those attacks are, what that Jahiliyyah is. And history proves, history tells us that the talbis of Iblis, its deceptive tactics have remained the same throughout the history. Again and again he uses the same deceptive techniques. So if you understand them, if you understand the Jahiliyyah of the past, and then you would be able to decode the Jahiliyyah of the present and the Jahiliyyah of the future. So one of the things that has to be in your reading list. And there are other aspects as well, which you can inshallah explore when you read the relevant chapter from the book. Then we have explained how to select a book. When you go to a bookstore, you go with a purpose. You don't just go and see which title looks the best. You go with a purpose. You go with the research about whose writing you are searching, for how it would help you work on your mission. So there's a chapter on how to select the books. Then there are chapters about preparation for reading, what you need to do before you start to read. Then when you start reading, what do you need to do to retain the most? How does the psychology of reading work? So these are some of the things that we have tried to explain in section number 3. Inshallah, I hope you would find this book really beneficial, and I highly encourage you to read it and also to share it with others and also discuss it within your family. Inshallah, this book can reverse the current situation that our ummah is going through. We have to connect with the Quran, we have to reconnect with the Seerah, and we have to reconnect with our history. We have to decode the past in order to be able to decode the present and the future. So this book is a humble effort in that space. So I encourage you to read it, and please let us know your feedback at ICAN Sama-O-Basr. You can visit our Facebook page or contact us through email. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept this effort and make it sadaqah jariyah for everyone involved. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.